I would like to have your opinion about the Pak-US relation. How do you analyze the Pak-US relationship?
Well, I think it's a relationship that is growing, it's evolving, there are sensitivities on both sides, but we have to come to a point where we realize that we are one human family and we have common interests. I think the relationship has to be reciprocal. Has to be reciprocal. America is spread thin across the world. We always can do more, but the relationship has to be reciprocal. America has fought hard on the fight against terrorism. So has Pakistan done a great job. You know, I said before, we can't win the war against terrorism without the help of the Muslims, without the help of the Pakistani brothers and sisters. That's what needs to happen. There has to be a reciprocal relationship on both sides. We have to have comprehensive intelligence sharing on both sides of the aisle. That's the way we're going to win this thing.
I think there are great opportunities. I, however, think that it's important for the new government to organize itself and to be able to establish its own foreign policy. Frankly, we should not tell it what to do. And as it does so, begin to engage with the United States and others around the world to set up the framework for working to fight the war on terror. Everyone wants to be safe. That's what the war on terror represents. It is to protect the innocent from those who would do us harm. But as we do that, let us build relationships around economic development. Let us build relationships around cultural exchange, students exchange, going to colleges here in the United States. Let us work with Pakistani Americans as we work with the non-governmental organizations in Pakistan to get resources and foreign aid to the people who need it. I am always reminded of the wonderful help of those Pakistani Americans, those from Houston, Texas, during the earthquake. We went in, I was able to go in, we took aid, we took sewing machines. The people had a greater understanding of what we are and who we are. So the new government, I congratulate it. I'm saddened by the loss of former Prime Minister Bhutto, very saddened. But I believe there's a great future in this government, but it must be a coalition government working with people in order to make sure that everyone is involved.
Well, what's missing is the right leadership here in America. And that's going to change next January, by the way. We'll have Barack Obama as the new president. He will give a new image of America to the rest of the world. And we'll have a new approach based upon respect for human rights, a respect for people's indigenous rights. We'll have a new foreign policy based upon the essentials of what it means for people to be free and democratic, education, health care, not just war and endless war. That doesn't do it. So we're going to have a whole new approach.
Most of my colleagues will follow what I've suggested to provide a democracy dividend of $1 billion to help get the economy going again and deal with infrastructure and education. I propose that we not base our policy on an individual, but on the Pakistani people, and make it clear that unconditionally we're prepared to provide $1.5 billion a year in economic aid to Pakistan. And thirdly, I think we should make it very clear that any military aid be what we call transparent, that we're able to have it accounted for, exactly how it's being used, what it's being used for. And I think that's what the United States should, the message to the people of Pakistan is. We are no longer going to support you merely based on a single thing we want. We're going to support you just like we support other nations that are allies who have difficulties. Nations like Turkey going through a court crisis right now. Nations like Great Britain and France who have had their own problems. And so the point here is that you have to assume, and if this doesn't work, nothing matters. You have to assume that the present coalition government over the next months and 2 years of the next election is going to result in another peaceful transition of another elected Pakistani government. And if that doesn't work, then none of this matters.
Well, I think that there's a lot of hope, there's a lot of promise, and we have to work hard and diligently to make sure that we strengthen the U.S.-Pak relationship. In fact, Pakistani Americans are going to play a critical role in that, insisting that their government, the United States, build and forge and construct strong relationships with Pakistan. As a matter of fact, you know, I have a good friend who is working on voter engagement, reaching out to Muslims and including Pakistani Americans to get them engaged. He's one of the founders and operators of a group called the Center for Voter Advocacy. His name is Khurram Wahid, and he and other people like him are all over the United States getting people registered to vote, helping people learn how to impact their elected public officials, helping people understand how important it is to engage their officials, and also to have an agenda. It's one thing to go to a politician and say, let me take a picture, But what about, let's take a picture, but also, what about foreign aid to Pakistan? What about making sure that the Medicare works for physicians? What about making sure that covering the uninsured? What about making sure of these very important agenda items? You must have a set of demands. You must have an agenda, or else you're going to get what you ask for.
तो आप देख रहे थे अपना पसंदीदा प्रोग्राम सफीर पाकिस्तान, आपकी आवाज़ और आपकी पहचान, राब्तों का एक नाम सफीर पाकिस्तान। नाज़रीन, जाने से पहले मैं आपसे गुजारिश करूंगा कि आप हमसे मुंसलिक रहें, आप हमें ईमेल भेजें, आप अपने मैसेज रिकॉर्ड कराएं ताकि हम उसको दूर तक आपकी आवाज़ को पहुंचाएं। इसके अलावा अगर आप इस प्रोग्राम का हिस्सा बनना चाहते हैं और यू वांट टू बी ब्यूरो चीफ, रिपोर्टर, रेसिडेंट डायरेक्टर सफीर पाकिस्तान एनीवेयर इन द वर्ल्ड, हमसे राब्ता कायम करें। नाज़रीन, मैं बताते चलूं कि ओवरसीज़ पाकिस्तानी अफेयर्स काउंसिल का क़याम अमल में आ चुका है और ये प्योरली वेलफेयर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन होगी ओवरसीज़ पाकिस्तानियों के लिए। ओवरसीज़ पाकिस्तानियों के जो मसाइल हैं जो कभी भी हल नहीं हुए, उसके हल के लिए, उसके मसाइल को हल कराने के लिए इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का क़याम अमल में आया है और ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के नुमाइंदे पूरी दुनिया में मौजूद होंगे आपकी मदद के लिए, जिसमें मशहूर लॉ फर्म, मशहूर अकाउंटिंग फर्म्स, एडवाइजर्स इसमें शामिल हैं। इसकी डाकबेल डाल दी गई है और इंशाल्लाह नेक्स्ट प्रोग्राम में इसकी तफसील आप तक पहुंचाई जाएगी। और अगर आप भी जहां भी मौजूद हैं, किसी भी शहर में, यूरोप में, अमेरिका में, कनाडा में, मिडिल ईस्ट में, फार ईस्ट में, और आप इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का हिस्सा बनना चाहते हैं तो प्लीज़ हमें कॉल कीजिए और हमें ईमेल कीजिए ताकि हम आपको उसकी तफसील से आगाह कर सकें। इसके अलावा मशहूर अखबार पाकिस्तान वीकली लिंक और सफीर पाकिस्तान, आपका जाना पहचाना, अमेरिका की तारीख में पहली बार पाकिस्तानी अमेरिकन CEO कन्वेंशन का इनेकाद कर रहे हैं, जो कि वाशिंगटन DC में अप्रैल के महीने में होगा। तो मेरी गुजारिश है कि जो लोग किसी कंपनी के CEO हैं या उसके सरबराह हैं, हमसे राब्ता कायम करें। इसके अलावा इसमें CTO और CFO भी पार्टिसिपेट कर सकते हैं। ये 2 दिन का कन्वेंशन होगा जिसमें कैपिटल हिल पे एक मीटिंग होगी और वहाँ के टूर होगा, एक नहायत खूबसूरत डिनर होगा। नेक्स्ट डे ऑल डे मीटिंग, सेमिनार्स और इंटरव्यूज होंगे और रात को नहायत खूबसूरत डिनर होगा और एंटरटेनमेंट इवनिंग होगी। आपसे गुजारिश है कि आप इसमें पार्टिसिपेट करें और ये एक फैमिली इवेंट होगी, इसमें आप अपने फैमिली, बाल बच्चों के समेत हिस्सा ले सकते हैं। नाज़रीन, इस सिलसिले में आप सफीर पाकिस्तान से फौरी राब्ता कायम करें या पाकिस्तान लिंक के जनाब आरिफ मंसूरी साहब से राब्ता कायम करें। नाज़रीन, इसके साथ ही आपका मेज़बान वकार खान आपसे इजाज़त चाहेगा, सिर्फ इस जुमले के साथ, जहां भी रहें मोहब्बत से रहें, इत्तेहाद से रहें और हमेशा पाकिस्तान को रखें सबसे पहले। अल्लाह हाफिज। पाकिस्तान पाइंदाबाद।